the valuation role. Might have been in the country even, but I don't want to be that bold to say that. In terms of doing the valuation of properties in record time, a process that usually takes, I don't know, 12 to 18 months, took us 3 to 5 months to complete, because it was that dire. It was 7 years overdue. And in that space of time, when we looked at the property values, if we didn't do that, it would mean that the municipality didn't have a funded budget. Legally, we wouldn't be able to charge rates. And then the national and the provincial government come and they take over your municipality and they say, we are now looking after you because you guys have messed up so badly that you can't run your financial affairs. So many properties went up anything between 35 and 110% in property value. Now, it would be ridiculous for us to pass on, a 60% increase in rates. That would just be, it would be ludicrous, unfair, it wouldn't be right. So what we did actually was we decreased the rate randage by 25% in this municipality. So what that means is that some people actually saw their rates go down in this municipality because of the interventions that we put in place. What we also did is that we recognized that we were coming out of COVID, we were coming out of the July riots, and many people were struggling to rebuild after those incidents. So we further added a number of discounts onto different property categories. So I think residential was 2.5 or 3% extra discount onto your rates bills. The bad news is that those discounts will fall away, but when you work it out in terms of rands and cents, it's like anything between 15 and 40 rand that will be added on there. And we're removing the COVID discount and the July riots discount because those incidents are now in the past. But these are just some of the things that we've done to try and show that as a government, we recognize the different situations that people are going through. In doing so and in responding to Shirley again around the rebates application, we further added that anyone over 60 years of age qualifies for a rebate in our municipality. So it was whether you are poor or rich or wealthy or not wealthy, anyone over that age qualified automatically to get a discount as a municipality. Obviously, you have to apply and we give it to you. We further said to those senior citizens who have a household income of 13,500 Rand or less, we add further discounts to your rates account, and that was increased. So previously the qualifying criteria was 11,000 Rand. We increased that to 13,500. For poor households, the qualifying criteria was 3,500 Rand household income to qualify for free basic services. We increased the threshold to 5,000 Rand. We also increased the primary the deductible amount on your property value. It was around 110,000, 120,000. We increased that to 130,000 Rand that we deduct off of your property value before we start charging you rates. And that's some of the interventions that we put in place. Thanks, Josie, for the clarification. Don't mean municipality supporting farming. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. How will we meet our budgets? So Josie's question is saying, if we get to stage 8 to 10 load shedding, and people are no longer able to pay for services, then how is the municipal budget going to be affected? Well, Josie, it's a very good question. It's much like the COVID-19 situation, where municipalities suddenly had to deal with a shock where household incomes were affected. So we do have a number of mechanisms in place where people can apply to us if they are having difficulties with paying. We then would have to then go to what we call a special adjustment budget. So we'd call an emergency budget sitting and have to reassess our budgets in terms of what we'd be able to spend on. It would mean huge budget cuts for us, and we'd have to communicate that with you. You can't expect the municipality to deliver services if people aren't paying for anything. And I think most people would realize that if we did have an emergency situation like that, something like roads no longer becomes a priority, but rather public safety, law and order, and things like that. So, but let's not speculate before we get there. I know that Councillor Lake is busy working on a contingency plan for us that we will then present to the relevant portfolio committees and take through council. Contingency for higher levels of blackouts. I'm pleased to see budget being made available for environment. A huge issue in getting municipalities invasive species. Since the municipality does road verges, etc., how much is being done to ensure that these staff service providers are being trained to look out for invasive species? So one of the things that we have done at the moment is for us to be able to use poisons, herbicides, and to be able to kill some of these plants permanently, because you can cut them down but they regrow, is that we have to actually apply for a license. So we're in the final stages of getting that license from the Department of Environmental Affairs, which will then be used to do that. We have allocated budget this financial year for two line items in our budget that will be assisting. So the one is our EPWP budget, that is the expanded public works budget. This current financial year that we're in, there's 1.2 million rand allocated towards that. That is where we pay for short-term labor contracts, 3 months, 6 months, etc., for specific projects. So we're increasing the budget from 1.2 million to 2.1 million. This will give us bigger capacity to be able to employ people to deal with specific programs such as the one that you're talking about here. And then the second budget line item is actually the environmental one. We only allocated 150,000 rand towards that this financial year. That increases to, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, 250,000 rand, which would then go towards that program. We also have what is called the CWP employment program. That is the Community Works program. We have people who work 8 hours a week, so they get paid for 8 hours a week on various different programs, from cleaning windows to gutters to painting schools to whatever it might be. We have started, and I think we started in Hilton on the rail trail, and we moved to Simmons Stream with programs dedicated to clearing these spaces. And in doing so, we also train the temporary employees to be able to identify whether it's blackjacks or bugweed or whatever it might be, lantana, etc. Carl, do you believe investor confidence and property values are increasing for the area? Absolutely. There's a shortage of housing stock at the moment because of the demand that we experience. When you look at the semigration statistics, so semigration is movement patterns within a country. The two biggest provinces that are receiving people moving into them are the Western Cape by far. I think in the next 5 years, the city of Cape Town will have a city the size of Bloemfontein moving into that city. That's how many people are moving to the Western Cape. And the second biggest province is KwaZulu-Natal. But there are two areas in particular that people are moving to. The area experiencing the highest growth is the corridor between uMhlanga and Ballito. And the second biggest area is the uMngeni region between Hilton and Nottingham Road. So there's a huge amount of people. We've seen this with increases in property values, and I'm sure if there's any real estate agents on here, they'll let you know that those have increased. That is a good thing. I mean, property is usually someone's biggest asset and the thing that they pass on to their children and their grandchildren. So that is a good thing for people. We have also seen a number of businesses expanding. There's a new shoe factory that opened in Maryvale industrial area, creating about 120 jobs. They moved out of Pietermaritzburg. There's an expansion of South Africa's largest brake manufacturer. They're opening 3 new production lines in Maryvale Industrial. Dunlop is expanding. They're opening new production lines at Dunlop, and a number of different areas are seeing expansion. Shopping centers, housing development applications. There are from shopping centers to housing estates to medical facilities. There's a number of applications. We have by a long way the highest number of town planning and building applications in the whole district. And in the province, we are only second to eThekwini. I will get to the boundary issue. I'm just answering Steve. uMngeni partners. Yeah, so Steve, thanks for that. So Steve is asking about working on fire. Can we use this better? So yes, we want to do this. We do use working on fire as one of our service providers for fire breaks. So there's somewhere else that your money goes as ratepayers, is that we have to burn fire breaks. We own, or you own as the public, two protected areas. The first is the Beacon Hill protected area, and the second one is the Fort Nottingham protected area. These are all environmental areas that we have to look after on your behalf as the public. We do utilize working on fire for those, and there is an idea to, there is a plan in place to expand that to work with uMngeni and working on fire to start working on our water sources, our water streams. Alistair, you have your hand up. Alistair, do you have a question there? Okay, Alistair Walters has maybe got a dummy hand up. All right, the municipal boundaries issue. So the municipal boundaries, the Municipal Demarcations Act is the legislation that governs how boundaries of municipalities are determined, how they can be changed, the same as...
Mayor, I saw another hand. If you are already opening for hands, I think, because there's one other hand that came up, but it already dropped down. Sorry to disturb.
Sure, not a problem, Eamon. Friends, if you want to put up your hands to ask verbal questions, please do. It usually gets a bit messy when we do that, but I'm happy to take some. So if you can put up your hands, I'll call out names. So there are a number of proposals that have been put forward by different institutions, different political parties, different interest groups, etc., that affect the uMngeni municipality. The two biggest, or the four biggest ones that affect us are firstly the proposal to create a metropolitan municipality. So to amalgamate a number of municipalities like Pietermaritzburg with us and Mkambatini to form a metro municipality, which would be like Durban or Johannesburg, Pretoria or Tshwane, Mangaung. Those are metros. Usually characterized by a continuous urban area with economies that are linked and generally not rural in nature. The second proposal is to amalgamate the Impendle, uMngeni, and uMpofana municipalities to make one municipality, and that is the one that has created the biggest amount of issues, the biggest stir out there. Because it is the one that is being pushed the hardest politically, or the ones that politicians are making the noise about the most. The third big proposal is to take away basically what we would call the Midlands, and incorporate that into the Mpofana municipality. That's Mooi River. So that would be everywhere from behind Midmar Dam all the way through Lidgerton, Lions River, Dargle, Nottingham Road. Incorporate that whole area into the Mpofana municipality. And then the fourth proposal is to take away the Dargle and parts of Lidgerton and give that to Impendle municipality. So those are the four big proposals out there. The uMngeni Municipal Council, our official stance as a council, so not speaking wearing a political party hat, but as the municipality, we have rejected these proposals. So at a full council meeting, the uMngeni Council by majority vote rejected all the proposals that I've just mentioned to you, and have written as an institution to the Municipal Demarcations Board rejecting those proposals. That is the first step, is written submissions, and I believe thousands and thousands of written submissions were received by the Municipal Demarcations Board, which is fantastic. Some of those are probably in support, some of them are against, but that is the process. The next process that is incredibly important for people to participate in and have their voices heard is the public hearings. So in near future, and we'll communicate as a municipality, and so will political parties, and so will interest groups, etc. There will be public meetings in different areas where the demarcation board comes to hear and listen to the views of the community based on their proposals. It's incredibly important that people participate in these meetings. Don't take them lightly. People must come out and have their voices heard, whether in support or to reject these particular proposals. I don't see any other hands. Alistair Walters, your hand is still up. I'm not sure if that was by mistake.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to know about the entrance into Howick over the bridge, which is a huge bottleneck, both in the mornings and the evenings of rush hour. Is there any proposal of widening that?
Thanks, Alistair. Thanks very much for the question. Important one. So yes, we would like to expand the bridge. There were preliminary designs done about 3 years ago, and the total cost of that was around 75 million rand to expand that bridge. It's a couple of years later now, and prices have increased, so that will probably be closer to 90 million rand. We have to find a mechanism to fund that. We don't have 90 million rand. Our entire capital budget is around 70 million. So that's for all our capital expenditure. So we are exploring options such as taking a loan from the Development Bank of Southern Africa. They offer below prime, below competitive rates, specifically aimed at helping municipalities with infrastructure. And so we're looking at that, but not only for the bridge, for a number of infrastructure-related issues. We might even have to come to the residents of uMngeni and ask for a special levy. There's various mechanisms that we can use to try and fund it, but it is an incredibly important piece of infrastructure for the whole region. There's only one bridge that crosses the uMngeni. Otherwise, everyone will have to use the N3. But yeah, it is on the radar. We are just trying to find funding mechanisms to get that done.
Thank you.
Let's see. Josie says, I support a special levy for this project. Great. I'm going to use you as my spokesperson because I always have to be the bearer of bad news when it comes to things about money. So Josie and I are going to go around and sell this idea. All right. Thank you. Let me just see here. Damon Shaw. Damon asked, is there budget for the development of Shias, the informal settlement behind the Dunlop factory? Damon, yes and no. Why I say that is because there's land allocated for the development of houses for the people of Shia Bazali and a number of other places as well. The biggest inhibiting factor is that we can't build those houses, which there's money available for national government. The projects have been funded, but we can't build those houses until the Mgungundlovu District Municipality installs water and sanitation for these housing developments. We don't provide water or sanitation services as the uMngeni Municipality. And without the bulk infrastructure needed to develop these houses, we can't actually go ahead with them. So we've tried to engage with the district, and their budgets are unfunded most of the time. It's really run poorly. So we've gone to the National Minister of Water and Sanitation, who has been very helpful in the process. The Department of Water and Sanitation has committed 50% of the money to Mgungundlovu. So they've said they will pay 50% of the costs for any bulk water and sanitation that needs to take place to develop houses in the uMngeni Municipality. So what we're trying to do now as a municipality is either get the district to fund that 50%, or to try find a different funder, the Department of Human Settlements, the Presidency, etc. So we are working on that. The one challenge that we are going to have, and it's not easily solved, is that the majority of the population that lives in Shias are non-South Africans. Now, we can't, as government, build houses for non-South Africans. And many of the people are employed in local businesses. Many of the people work locally and are supported. So many people are from Lesotho, for example. They come from Lesotho because we offer jobs and a better life here. You might think that living in Shias is bad, but I don't know when last you went to Lesotho and saw how people live in the rural areas of Lesotho. So that is a big challenge. The same as the Transnet informal settlement at in Nottingham Road. Majority of the people are not South African, and we can't provide those services to them as a local government. Kel says, me too. She's clapping. Well, I've got a whole team here. Great. I'm sure our chairperson for the finance committee is also clapping her hands to know that we have some levy warriors. Friends, I'm going to just check if there's any more hands. Simon Thomas.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Well, thank you, sir. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Chris, I'd like to congratulate you in your response to your membership to the Lions River Fire Protection Association. You're one of the few municipalities in the province of KZN that actually contribute to fire protection in this country. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you for that. I think we're also one of 2 municipalities in the province that contribute to the SPCA as well. So, but thank you for that compliment. I do appreciate it. Friends, we've been going for an hour and 49 minutes. Mr. Hlobo, is there any comments that you would like to make?
Thanks, Honorable Mayor. Greetings to everyone in attendance. No comment, Honorable Mayor, other than highly appreciating the good attendance by uMngeni Municipality residents and interested people. We highly appreciate your support. Keep us on toes by querying anything that you feel you are not happy when we're doing them. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Hlobo, and thank you for your continued work and effort. Mr. Hlobo's probably got the most stressful job. I'm generally an impatient person, and there's I don't accept the excuse that government should be slow, and that pushes Mr. Hlobo's boundaries a lot. So thank you, Mr. Hlobo, for the work that you do. All right, everyone, I'm gonna end the meeting there. As always, you are always welcome to email us. Any of the councillors. I saw Councillor Ndlovu joined us. Who else is here? Councillor Jansen van Rensburg from Ward 6. Just running through the list here. Janice, I'm sure I saw you. Councillor Lake is here. Yeah, there's a Kwanele, Councillor Msimang from Ligiton is here as well. Mr. Ngubane, who's one of our officials in the administrative support services. Mr. Kwamanda from our IT department is also here. He's been the beneficiary of budget increases. So, Nkanyiso, your budget also goes up in the next financial year. Mr. Butulezi, who's our director for administrative support services. He does all our leases, our legal work, our internal structures. Mr. Mkutugane, thank you for being here as well. He's our chief planner, our head of town planning. Mr. Mgaga from communications. And all the others who have joined us. Thank you very much, everyone. Please feel free to email us with your ideas and your concerns. If there are issues that are outstanding, please just remind us. We have 120,000 residents, and we do miss things sometimes, so we would appreciate that. Have a great evening. Look forward to the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Bye, everybody.
Au revoir.